Hey everyone, welcome back to I Told My Wife I'm Paying Bills. I'm Slim,
And I'm Chris.
and we are back for another episode. So as you may have noticed from the intro, unfortunately, we don't have Black with us today. Uh, the schedules kind of got a little jacked up and everything, and he was unable to make this recording. Hopefully, he'll be back for the next one. But if not, trust me, he's still here. He'll be back. All right. So if you remember the spoilers from our last episode, this episode is going to be our Black History episode. We've already done episodes, the black favorite black superheroes. We did a little countdown episode like that, and then we also did Black excellence, black actors. I actually had a special idea from my wife. She actually said, why don't you combine Valentine's Day and Black History Month and make Black Heroes, Black Love? So that's what we got for this Black History Month is Black Heroes, Black Love. But something I wanted to actually mention though, so it's so funny, Chris. Last episode, I actually missed the count, and I said that we had only been going from 2020, I think 2024 or 2023 or whatever. Our first episode was in October of 2022.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we've actually gone longer than I thought, and I don't know why. How did I miss that? But yeah, I guess because we did most of the episodes in 23.
Yeah.
That's why I was just like, oh wow, So yeah, we've been going since October 2022. That's wild. That's so wild to me.
Hey, the fact that the time is running together and you're not bored of it is a good sign.
Yeah, right. So I think that's pretty cool, man. And it's rolling, man. We just rolling through. So we appreciate everyone who's listening and everyone who's liking and subscribing and everything like that and sharing the podcast. That's helping us keep going on. At the end, I'll go ahead and go through that again anyway. So for our episode, Black Heroes, Black Love, right? Um, we kind of wanted to kind of highlight some of our favorite superhero couples, black couples that are together in like different forms of media, comic books, there's different shows and everything. One of the typical couples that you see is T'Challa and Storm. So that's like the highlight. That's the one that everyone knows. But there's so many other couples in the different comics and the other genres that are, just showing black love. And I'm gonna start off by saying this. This is not like a how do I put it? Okay, so you can be pro black without being anti white. So I apologize to anyone who might be offended by this, but again, we're just celebrating Black History Month while we still can. And for this episode, I did want to actually highlight couples that are black couples, black superhero couples. So again, like I said, there's so many other ones. We're gonna just talk about a couple of them and just what types of media that we've seen these couples in before. Like some of the other ones that we have named. We've got Jefferson Pierce and Lynn Stewart. We have Mal Duncan and Karen Beecher. We have John Stewart and Vixen. Uh, we have Misty Knight and Luke Cage. So there's quite a few. There was Cyborg and Karen Beecher, Bumblebee. I remember that from Teen Titans. They had like a little kind of not even a real relationship on that show, but they kind of had like a little thing going. So that was kind of cute. There was like a little flirtatious thing going. So, but there's many different shows over DC and Marvel, and we just kind of want to highlight some. So, we'll start off with you, Chris. Kind of name one that you it first comes to mind when you think of a black superhero couple, power couple. Who do you think of first?
Well, I'm going to go with the one I know the most about, which was the Storm and the T'Challa relationship, which um, started off kind of a promotion where Marvel was trying to highlight its two most powerful black characters and most prominent black characters. And then, as time went on, they were a power couple for somewhat for a while, and then because of the politics and probably a little bit so they wouldn't get stale, they actually broke them up. But
That's pretty sad. That's sad, but Either way, yeah. I don't remember a lot about, Storm and T'Challa only because I didn't read a lot of the Marvel books. I do remember I wanna say it was the Marvel, cartoon. It was the Black Panther cartoon that was on for a short time. Didn't they have Storm and T'Challa together in the cartoon as well?
I can't remember because it's
I remember seeing the 2 of them together in something, but I don't remember what, and I don't think it was the books because I didn't read those books. I really there was only a handful of Marvel books that I read, and honestly, like I've said before, those were more so the graphic novels. So, yeah, that's that I definitely don't remember too much of that relationship, and I don't remember seeing but that one is a very powerful and strong relationship that they had, and that was highlighted throughout all of the Marvel universe.
yeah, they kind of highlighted that they had a little bit of back history and that they, hadn't just met. But yeah, they eventually hooked them up and they had a few years where, they were this power couple and she ended up leaving the X-Men for the most part for a while and going full Wakandan. And then as time went on, of course, their relationship is a wonderful, beautiful example of, relationships in the comics and whatnot. But, they weren't conflict free. They were both monarchs of these two different countries. She ended up coming into conflict with him because he had a falling out with the X-Men over Namor and or Namor. And
You can
then
say no more. No more. Go ahead. Sorry.
and then they basically they even though they ended up coming to a they never actually ended up being enemies per se, but they did have some serious philosophical differences over T'Challa wanting to go after Namor and then declaring the X-Men as enemies of Wakanda. And so that basically kind of broke that relationship up. But they did in the end end up remaining friends and they got divorced and then she pretty much moved on. But in recent years they've kind of explained a little bit more about why their relationship broke up, but it all depends on which uh, once again there was little political factors going on as far as the Wakandans and T'Challa.
That's just I it's still kinda messed up how they had to write it in to split those 2 up, and I really wish they really hadn't done that, but, I mean, if you do have a powerful couple, and if they had a powerful child, that would've been really crazy, a child born from the flower and with the mutant gene.
Hey, don't give them those ideas for free.
That would've been pretty crazy?
That actually sounds pretty incredible now that you mention it.
I mean, honestly, so obviously, T'Challa actually he didn't have that power from the heart-shaped herb when he was born because he ended up taking it, and he was trained all his life. But if you think about it, though, if they have even just a little bit of that in their DNA, and then you mix that with a mutant gene, chances are that it could have been a heightened child. Who knows what kind of child they could have had? So that would have been wild.
Hey, now I want to see this happen.
That would have been really wild, right? I want to switch over though to the DC universe, and I want to actually talk about a couple that a lot of people may or may not know that isn't like one of those mainstream couples though. Mal Duncan and Karen Beecher Duncan. So I ended up seeing this couple in the show Young Justice, and I love man. Young Justice is a great show. I think we need to do some episodes on Young Justice, but Young Justice was really good and the way they actually did the superheroes that were sidekicks and then they how they broke them away from being sidekicks, so dope. I really, really, truly love the way they did that. You know,
I've been thinking about going doing a rewatch of that series because I watched it so spottily when it was originally running, and I would catch an episode here and there, but I was never actually able to actually piece the entire stories together. But yeah, I've definitely been wanting to go back and do a rewatch of that series.
I actually did a rewatch. I want to say it was this past summer. It might have been this past summer. It might have been this past spring. But I did a rewatch in 2024 though, just because, and it's so good still. It is still so good. And so the that couple of Mal and Karen, Bumblebee, and he actually has a alias of Guardian, um, in the comic books. He's more in Guardian or whatever, but he was Guardian for a little bit in the actual show. And the way he became Guardian, he just saw the costume there, and he put on the costume to help during a fight to kind of pretend like he's more stronger than he actually was, and he helped out. That was, in Young Justice, in that episode of Young Justice. And then since then, he started wearing the costume. Um, but actually, the two of them started out when the younger. I want to call them kids, but they weren't really kids, but they were teenagers because they were in high school. So when the original crew actually started going to Happy Harbor, those two were actually at Happy Harbor. And same thing. Karen was on the squad, the cheer squad. Mal was just like on the football team, and they were kind of they were. Karen was nicer than Mal was at first, but then like it transformed and they changed up a little bit. And then when Young Justice did that whole jump, then you finally saw them as part of the team. And Mal was actually helping out with in Happy Harbor, and I mean with the team in Happy Harbor and everything. So, but those 2, you actually saw, like, a small part of their relationship after the jump as well, and they actually had a small child, and they had a baby, and, they show how, Bumblebee actually shrunk down to actually help fix her daughter. Her daughter had a heart condition, and she went and fixed the heart condition inside her daughter, like, literally hours after her daughter's birth. That was such a crazy episode too, and you actually saw, like, the love of those 2 because Mal is sitting there with nothing to do. He couldn't do anything, their daughter was sick, and he couldn't help her that way, and Karen, Bumblebee, was doing what she could. She knew she had the ability to do it, so she was like, "Put me in." So she convinced someone to help her. I can't remember who it was that she convinced to help. But she convinced them to help her get her Bumblebee suit. She shrunk down, went inside, fixed the heart disease, put some kind of patch on her daughter's heart, whatever. Her daughter was good, and then she came out. But the whole time all this was going on, you saw Mal's relationship and how much he cared for her. And then later on, you see like Karen. Well, I'm sorry, I say later on, but it might actually have been earlier because I'm kind of getting my timelines messed up. But you see how their relationship is where Karen is actually doing all this work. She's a scientist, and she's constantly all the time, she's like missing dates, and she's just always in the lab, always working on all that. And it's actually taking a toll on their relationship. And Mal does whatever he can to actually make this relationship work. So in the end, you see them having that, and they get together, and I believe it's actually those two whose wedding you actually see, not the wedding, but you see that they are, like, you see they're engaged, and it's the girls, they have, like, a little bachelorette type luncheon. So, that was actually really cool. And seeing those 2, and they're young, they're a young Black couple that actually are, like, I was actually surprised they put that much of their relationship on the show. But then again, in the actual comics, I haven't read those books. And here's a disclaimer too. Most of these books I haven't read. I do know of their relationships in the book, but unfortunately, I haven't read those like single issues, of course, because again, like I said, single issues just isn't my thing. So their relationship, I do know about it, but I've never read it. So, I actually thought that though, the way they actually displayed those 2 and they had them connect, they actually had, you saw little pieces of their relationship being built from high school on, and you saw how they strengthened. You saw how Mal did whatever he could to make sure their relationship stayed solid. And then when she realized that her job was in the way, she actually kinda took that little step, and she was like, "Okay, I need to make sure to focus on myself and my relationship as well." and boom, they got married and they had the baby and everything like that. That was so dope. I really truly like the way they actually did that, and they included that story into Young Justice. That was cool.
As parents who are in relationships, long term relationships, seeing how they actually incorporate real life, scenarios into these stories actually definitely makes the stories that much more interesting as far as bring some real, some sort of gravitas towards, like with threat to the child and the things that a parent was willing to go through in order to take care of the child, and how sometimes the work balance and the relationship balance is definitely can definitely be a struggle.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, I definitely think so. It's it's funny that you mentioned that too, because I can't remember the name of her ex, but the whole work balance and relationship balance is actually displayed in another black couple on Young Justice. I don't remember what her ex ex's name is, or just the father of her son, but Icon. Um,
Yeah.
not no, I'm sorry, not Icon, Rocket.
Mm.
And I think her name's Raquel. But Rocket actually had a relationship with a black man on the show, but you didn't show that part of it because of the time jump and everything like that. So Rocket was actually with this guy, and I don't remember his name, and they ended up having a son. Unfortunately, the two of them split up, and part of the reason why they split up is because of her job, but also because of the stress of having a special needs child. Who their special needs child w- is is autistic, and part of that you see that struggle of her trying to be a parent and be a superhero and just like even have a relationship. So unfortunately, that relationship suffered. And they have like a whole episode where Rocket, she's just trying to do both. She has all these powers, but she's powerless to help her son out. And it's kind of sad to see. But one of the things that when you watch that episode actually makes you smile is you actually see that her son is basically oblivious. Her son is just a child. He's just living his life like a child. And throughout that episode, she's like so hard on herself because she's trying to do it and she's trying to struggle, and of course she has that very um torrential relationship with her ex. But she's feeling all of this, and then she's also trying to be she has to go off planet, so she's trying to do that and be an emissary to this other to, Apocalypse, and she's doing all this, and she's struggling so hard, so that's it's kinda funny, like I said, you mentioned in being a parent and doing that and having all relationships just because of that, so.
Okay, I think she was pregnant by her ex-boyfriend Noble.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's what it okay. Yeah, see, I didn't remember his name, so they didn't even actually get married, so it was just a relationship and it was just together, so
Yeah, and her son's name was Amistad.
Amistad, I do remember that. I do remember her son named Amistad, and I really like that. I really like the way they actually portrayed all of that. Like, that is one of my favorite episodes, watching her be a parent to Amistad and everything that they did in there, and they showed, like, again, like I said, they showed him. He did have his meltdowns and everything like that, and you saw her frustrations and all that, but in the end, she ended up being just a mom. All it was, she was just a mom struggling. All that superhero stuff flew out the window, and she was just a mom that was struggling.
Yeah.
So, who do you have next as your, couple from any type of media, comic books, TV?
Let's stick with the DC universe and go with Jefferson Pierce and Lynn Stewart. Which
One of my favorites. If you didn't say it, I would have said it, because I'm definitely a Black Lightning fan,
yeah,
and that show. So I don't know much about the comic. I do know a little bit of the comic, and I do know a little bit of they talked about it a little bit in I think that was in Young Justice too. They had a little bit of it in Young Justice.
trying to keep track of all of those different universes and the different versions of the character. You, you could. you could throw a rock and just, you're going to run into a different, version of those characters, and while there's some similarities, let's face it, like Black Panther is definitely way different in the books than he is in the movies.
Yeah, yeah. So so um so give me your take on their relationship, Jefferson Pierce and Lynn Stewart, which coincidentally, for those who don't know, Lynn Stewart is actually John Stewart's sister. So give me your take on it.
The Green Lantern, not the comedian. But
Correct. Green Lantern, John Stewart. Where
but they, just being able to actually watch them and their struggles trying to raise their daughters week after week, and the conflicts of him being at the time of the show's beginning a former hero, which the him being a hero was part of the thing that actually caused friction in their relationship. It was interesting watching them deal with day-to-day life, compounded by the fact that he had to come out of his superhero retirement. And then his daughter started going through puberty and your powers manifesting, and watching as as the father had to deal with his daughters all of a sudden burgeoning powers and dealing with, them maturing and going out into the world themselves and having to face danger, and him wondering whether or not he's actually setting them up for failure or conditioning them to actually deal with the things they're going to have to deal with in life. Which, being that they were superpowered individuals, they were going to be dealing with some high-powered problems.
man, I'm gonna tell you, and watching that, the fact that they started off the series as divorced and you saw like you actually saw the love, but the anger that split them up because of his superheroing. She knew that she couldn't ask him to stop, and he knew that he had to stop. But by the time he stopped, it was too late.
Yeah,
And the good thing about it is they actually show some scenes throughout the series. I don't know if it was in the very first episode or later on in the first season, but they show some scenes of back in like some throwback scenes, flashbacks, and they show a scene of them when they were actually married together, and he came home and he was all beat up and everything like that, and she put him in the tub, and they showed her frustration, and she was so scared, and that was just that was just amazing because then you when you seeing that, you saw the love that she originally had. So then throughout the rest of the series, when their love starts coming back together, that was so dope because again, like I said, they started the series as divorced, but still in love. But you could still see the little bit of the anger and resentment for the differences they had. Just like the talking back and forth here, there, whatever. And then to watch them build back up and because they never stopped being a family. And that's the one good thing that they actually did very right about that series is
yeah,
they showed that the Pierces never stopped being family.
yeah. And they were always, even when things were strained between them, they kept their love and their focus on their daughters and their well-being.
Yeah, and that ended up building back up because even when there was some time when Lynn was kidnapped and there was the issue where she was working for somebody and it ended up being like a bad thing, whatever. Jefferson was always there beside her, always working. He was always ready to go after her, go get her. Jefferson was always there beside her because that was his other half, no matter what. And I do love how throughout the series with those 2, you really never saw anyone else for them except for those 2, and that was such a good series. For it to end the way it did and how weird it was, I was a little disappointed because that was one of my favorite, DCCW shows, and I to this day, I haven't gone back and did a rewatch because I was so sad at how it was handled. I
Yeah,
do need to go back and do a rewatch, and I really want to, though.
yeah. I think with a lot of these series, they have, especially when they do the pilot episodes, they have like certain writers who understand the characters or at least know how to craft a really good story and setup. And then with a couple of those shows, I know that some of those teams got moved around to doing stuff with other ones on other shows, and it seems like almost with it, like you get like 2 or 3 seasons of solid storytelling, and then they seem to actually have a bit of a drop off in quality.
Yeah, 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 and it's really sad that it happens that way because you end up missing out on some good chances, especially if you have somebody who doesn't know the character, that's a big red flag. That is a big red flag because you don't give the fans what originally made them fall in love with that character, you know, and currently Black Lightning is one of my favorite DC characters, which is kind of crazy. And I've seen this. There's this TikTok video going around, and the person goes, "Name 5 black superheroes that don't have lightning powers."
Yeah,
And I mean, you can do it. It's possible,
yeah, it's easy to do.
but it's easy. But unless you know a lot of the characters, the average person won't name 5 right off the bat like that.
Yeah,
Because like even Miles Morales, somebody was like Miles Morales, he's got lightning powers.
he's got lightning powers.
Yeah, so there's some of them that you just like, okay, this one, no, sorry, they got lightning power, which I don't know why it's so strange about that. Like lightning is the black power or something. I don't. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't know what that if there's some type of deeper meaning as far as that goes, but I'm like they. I suppose they got to have some type of power. Nobody complained with Emperor Palpatine had it.
yeah, right. Either way, though, I truly do love Black Lightning, the character. I've got the whole Black Lightning family on my shelf. Well, the Pop Funko Pop family. I've got Thunder, Lightning, and Black Lightning himself. So I was really happy when I got the whole collection for that. So that is a very very good couple. I do truly love that couple, and I love watching that couple. Another couple that I loved watching, which unfortunately they ended up kind of separating these two. Um, just because of the other character and everything, and it's hard for me to put this, but anyway, John Stewart and Vixen.
Mhm.
So John Stewart and Vixen on Justice League Unlimited, I believe is when she came in. Yeah, it was Justice League Unlimited when Vixen came in. I really liked them as a couple. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but because the stories were written so well, I really liked him and Hot Girl more. But
Yes.
for the purpose of this show, them as a couple was really good because they actually seemed like a power couple. I mean, she was a model, so then you saw him dressed up and like looking, the episode where like they both were like kind of like out in the town, and he was like dressed up in a nice like sport coat and all that, and he was
Uh-huh.
looking like a fly daddy.
He got that glow up.
Right, right. So she brought out so much in him. And they were actually a really good power couple. They got in a fight, and like when they fight, not when I mean they got in a fight, a villain came and something happened. I can't remember exactly the episode right now, but during that fight, man, their teamwork was on point. Those two, him with his ring slinging and her with her necklace, the power of different animals from the jungle, was so dope. I truly loved, and I actually loved the character Vixen that they had in the CW show.
Yeah,
I do wish they had did more with her character, but she was actually really good.
yeah,
I
yeah,
really I can't wait for a live action John Stewart, and I can't wait to see this one. But
yeah.
I don't know if they'll ever have him with a Vixen or not. But
It's kind of cool because they had her cross over and do an animated series. I mean, an animated movie also.
yeah, yeah, yep. And I saw that because they actually had. Well, I didn't see the movie. I saw that they had it, but I didn't get to see the movie because they had it with the Flash and with Arrow, and they like they were on the rooftop or something like that, and so I really wanted to see that, and I just didn't get a chance to. So and I don't want to say it's hard to find because I probably can find it. Matter of fact, I probably find it on Max, but it's I just haven't gone looking for it yet. So I'm sure if I just pull it up or I just say it, I can find it. It's just one of those things, though. But that that one that one again is a good, very very good couple. I do like John Stewart and Vixen. They those two. But they actually had one from the books that I didn't know that Vixen was actually Vixen and Bronze Tiger. Do you even know anything about Bronze Tiger at all?
Really, the only experience I've had with Bronze Tiger has been the times where, because I had heard about him in the books, but mostly through his portrayals in TV and animation by Michael Jai White.
Mhm, mhm. So, you saying that now made me realize, okay, that's who that character is because he was on the CW, Bronze
Mhm.
Tiger. Got you, okay.
And there was a Batman animated movie recently where it was really cool because they did like a retro '70s black exploitation style animated one with him in it that was actually pretty good too. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it was really funny. Fun.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't think I've seen that. I can't remember if I've seen that or not. So, um, but yeah, it's saying that now, I definitely do remember seeing them. So, um, seeing him, but I don't remember seeing those 2 together. That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
those 2. So, either way though, I truly did enjoy Jon Stewart and Vixen, as a couple, and then, he ended up getting back with Hawkgirl, so that was another thing because one of my favorite episodes of Justice League Unlimited, they go into the future, and his son is like, he's just like, "Hey, what's up, dad?" He's like, "Wait, who's your mother?" He was like, "Really? You really wanna know?" His son's wearing a full metal hawk suit. It's like, "Come on, you know who my mom is, come on." So, and then also in that episode, that was the same episode that has that has the, Static Shock that I wanna portray, the costume that I'm trying to build now, where he's, like, in with the longer dreads, and he's got his coat and everything like that, so that was the same episode, but anyway. Um, so, let me ask you this, though, you know a little bit about Misty Knight and Luke Cage?
Yeah, because it was just also mainly from the TV series. That was another one that I didn't really follow in as far as the books went because keep my era as far as like comics went was probably from like late '89 till probably around about 1999, and that was mostly focused on the combination of Spawn, X-Men, and all the different various X-Men books. And there's a few crossovers and mostly as far as the like my DC books was definitely more mostly Batman focused. And then there was also that Wild Storm and period where all the guys had left Marvel and started Image Comics. So most of my comic book experience has been from that era. As far as like my knowledge of the characters in other forms was mostly from the animated shows and TV world.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, so, I'm trying to remember from I do remember seeing in the Defenders, I believe Misty Knight was in that, wasn't she?
Yes,
So, I
definitely.
remember seeing that, and then, I can't remember how much they were together in that show because I saw it.
Yeah, well, they hooked
Yeah, I
up.
wanna say, but that's why I said I don't remember how much though. But I
Yeah.
saw it at the beginning of the pandemic, I believe,
Mhm.
when we were home. It was if it wasn't the pandemic, then it was before the pandemic, but, I remember watching it with my daughter, Luke Cage first,
Yeah.
and then I don't remember if she watched The Defenders with me, but I remember that when my daughter was in school.
I didn't get to the Defenders at all because I didn't get to finish Luke Cage.
Okay, okay. So then
So
it was Luke Cage that I saw her when Misty
yeah.
Knight was in it. Okay.
Matter of fact, that was they actually got up to the point where she, got the bionic arm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. So I ended up seeing that one. So,
Mm.
I only remember a little bit about it. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and rely on your knowledge for that one. So,
Oh, my knowledge of that is sporadic, and like I said, I didn't exactly get to finish the series, but yeah, I did enjoy their relationship and them having to deal with things from an urban perspective and from a more street level, which is one of the things I really liked about that series, where it dealt with things going on in that particular neighborhood and the crisis of where the people that they were dealing with were people, in the neighborhood that they knew who were multifaceted. Didn't just, even the villain, despite how vicious they could be, they also had very human sides, and so for them to have to come together and deal with that.
It's so funny how much I blocked out that one, and I don't even know why. That's I guess that's another rewatch I gotta do, but I don't even know if I really feel like rewatching that. It ended up kinda getting weird, I guess. So, we're kinda running on time right here, so I kinda wanna finish up this list. We're running a little extra short this week, only just like I said, because we did have some time constraints and some other issues, so that's why Black was unable to join us. So, due to those time constraints, we are kinda running this episode just a little bit shorter, but it's alright. It's all good. We'll be back recording and having more episodes as well. But, finishing out, I wanna go ahead and round this episode out with kind of an honorable mention because I already mentioned one of these characters before, but on the actual show Teen Titans, um, the cartoon Teen Titans, not just Titans, that show's weird. Anyway, no, the show was good. The show was good, but I just said weird just because, like, some of those characters did some weird stuff. Anyway, um, Teen Titans, on the show, they actually had, maybe 2 or 3 episodes where it looked like Cyborg and Bumblebee were gonna get together. They were always kind of flirtatious a little bit. Cyborg at one point went undercover to the Hive, and that's where they met. And Bumblebee started out as a character training to be a bad character, an evil character, but not really realizing that the Hive was an evil place. Um, and her working with Cyborg actually at the Hive and going to school there, she ended up realizing that the Hive is bad, and she ended up being good, and then she became part of Titans East. And then the episode where he goes and sets up Titan East, throughout the whole episodes, they're flirting back and forth, kind of, and it's actually kind of cute to watch. Of course, it was more of a kid show, so they really couldn't. I mean, of course, some of those kids shows still have like a little adult themes here or there, but this was more of a kid show, so they couldn't toss in those like real romance and all that. Do you remember any of those episodes though?
Vaguely, I mostly remember Bumblebee's voice because she plays one of the lead characters in Deathloop, and so I'm used to hearing her screaming, trying to murder me.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was really good. Those episodes, I truly enjoy those episodes mainly because of the little flirtations that are going on between those 2. And it was really subtle, but it was like if you ever had that type of, relationship, then you would actually notice it, you know?
Yeah, and most of the time recently, I've probably watched her and Cyborg more in Teen Titans Go than I did in actual Teen Titans, where their
Yeah.
relationship is definitely on a different
So
kick.
so on Teen Titans Go, they actually do have a relationship.
Oh yeah, and no, not really. She's just with everybody. They tried to get her to join the team at one point, and being the comedy that it is, it didn't go well.
I'm not a fan of Teen Titans Go.
I
I
adore
have I
that.
don't think I've ever seen a full episode just because it took a show that I love and they just like they ridiculified it.
Oh
That's
man,
not even a word, but that's basically what they did.
it
Ridiculified it.
really is its own thing. Even though they've got the same voice actors, it's just I adore that show. It had to grow on me though. I wasn't I was a convert. I wasn't in at first. It definitely grew on me. Once I accepted it as its own thing, I started enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But I was butthurt over. I was definitely butthurt over them taking that cast and putting them in a comedy show at first.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, well, yeah, I'm still not gonna watch Teen Titans Go. Anyway, well, uh, again, that's gonna wrap up our list for right now. This may be something that we revisit, maybe, maybe not, just because there's so many different other couples and so many different other heroes, black superheroes that are actually in. Blade actually had some relationships. Some of the other ones, Static Shock, and I'm drawing a blank right now on other characters that I've seen or know of that have actually had relationships with other black superheroes. But I just kind of wanted to touch on this issue just because this is actually pretty cool to have to mix in Valentine's Day with Black History Month.
I mean, hey, as guys, we have to deal with, keep relationships going.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. That's
I do look at
you
some of the lessons we learn from even from those characters and how they handle situations.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, and putting it in there, very good. That's very good. Putting it in there.
Not to mention, it's good to see when they do these characters. They're written well and they're taken seriously. Yeah, you can get good storytelling out of it.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But good lord, we could actually. I mean, there's so many romantic couples that this could be stretched out for a good length. Actually,
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So that's what I said. This might be a possible revisit, or it might be actually later on this year, just because I might do a deep dive into one of the couples and kind of their history or something like that. So we'll see how that one works out. Just got to build it up and see how it goes. So
yeah, I really want to get back to reading some more of the comic books too, because I'm just like I've had such a huge break as far as that way of storytelling is gone. But with lifestyles being what they are, it's easier to watch the animated version or the TV version, but you kind of miss that perspective on how these characters change as far as as the different writers who get a hold of them to go to.
yeah, yeah. So, all right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and cut the show off for right now. We're gonna cut it up here. Um, but again, we wanted to thank everyone who's listening. If you want to reach out to us, you can actually email us at toldmywifepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Told My Wife Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook. I Told My Wife I'm Paying Bills. You can subscribe to our YouTube page at I Told My Wife I'm Paying Bills Podcast. Uh, like I said, TikTok's back, so you can actually find me on TikTok at SlimTour78. It's so funny. I did say that. I was just like, TikTok's not going anywhere. It was banned for literally 12 hours and came back, even though it's weirder now. I don't be on it as much, and I think that was probably what they were trying to do. But anyway, it's all good. um, One thing I did want to say though, to anyone who's listening, if you can hear my voice, if you can please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, that's going to help our podcast out. I kind of want to be able to reach more listeners, and you can actually, by rating and reviewing us, that's going to get us to more ears. So please, if you get a chance, just take a minute and rate and review us. We're constantly adjusting, we're constantly building, we're constantly working. Uh, um, I'm trying to actually get us all better equipment, same equipment, so any other, like, audio issues will be a thing of the past. So, I'm working on all of that in the background behind the scenes, so hopefully soon we can actually have nice and smooth sailing, but again, we would love to get y'all to have this like, share, and get us to more ears. Um, Come back for our next episode. Our next episode, we're gonna talk about mobile gaming. So if you've ever and including in mobile gaming, I'm going to include handheld consoles in mobile gaming because that's gaming on the go. Same thing. So, but if you've ever played any of your games on your phone, please listen, join us for that. But until the next one, I'm Slim.
And I'm Chris.
And whether you're binging or you're button mashing, we'll catch you on the next episode.